Hi, I'm here with Rúnar Rúnarsson, the director of When the Light Breaks, which had its premiere at Film Fest Gent last October. How are you, Rúnar?
I'm fine, thank you. And how are you?
I'm good. Let's dive right into it. You said in the past that all your films are self-reflexive and based on first or second-hand experiences. And I know you're not very keen on sharing the details, perhaps, on the personal inspirations behind the story. So I'm not going to ask you that, but could you maybe talk about what it's like to relive certain moments of your life or the lives of others during the writing process, and what it's like to reveal parts of yourself to an audience?
It doesn't start with to reveal myself. It's more like confronting myself. One way or the other, then it can be pointed out that my films are quite narcissistic because I'm self-reflecting. But I try to be honest in my writing, and I hope through that honesty and my self-reflection that yeah, I'm not special. I'm not more special than anybody else. But what I'm trying to self-reflect in, it's all things that are co-human elements. So I hope if I try to be honest towards myself in this self-reflection, or there are fragments of mirror that the audience can self-reflect themselves, if so to say.
Yeah, and your film follows the characters between two sunsets. I think it's about 24 hours more or less. So why did you decide to let the story play out in such a short time span?
Everything has been done one way or the other. All topics have been tackled, all stories have been told. The only stories that haven't been told is our own stories. So, story of grief, yeah, it's been told in many beautiful and different ways. Stories tend to be quite vast, time-wise. There is a demand that the Greek structure is being followed with how to say a story in certain amount of acts and when certain things should come and etc. And normally that includes a big character development, new sides of things. And if you're tackling a topic or topics in a really vast way, but certain grief that feels like a lifetime, the first hours or the first day, or there's a limitation of what can develop within that time to be realistic, because we don't come in terms with losing somebody. That's too early. But I nevertheless wanted to capture this feeling of, we all feel it differently, but somehow being in just airborne or just being tossed around and having a sense of being banged in the head with a hammer or something, or emotionally, physically even. And I wanted to emphasize on that because that's an intensive thing that I've gone through. And the first time that I went through it helped me. The second time, I both felt like self-reflecting and putting things into perspective for myself, but as well, I thought it would maybe be interesting for others to have accessibility to a mirror like this, because to doing it in such a sparse way, if so to say, I can't remember too many films that have emphasized on that short time frame.
Yeah, and it's certainly an intense film. And I guess if you want to experience love in your life, you will inevitably experience loss. And it's very beautiful to see these young people, they're still seeking how to cope with all that. And what I personally loved about it is how you didn't show human emotions as one-dimensional. There's this very little scene with Una and her father eating a hot dog after she just got the news that her friend is dead, and yet she somehow manages to put on a smile.
Yeah, and this is one of the main topics. Then we are going through a longer time frame, and then it's quite often emphasized on the fundamental emotions or the drama of it, and then time has passed, and something like you're referring to happens, is used to emphasize that after some months the main character is slowly getting their life together or something like that. But in my experiences, rural and people that I have talked with, and everybody agree to the feeling of there's such a close circuit between all kinds of emotions. So those losses that I've gone through, I think I've almost had a hysterical laughing attack in all those days as well. After the news come out, everything has more than one face to it as well. It's extremely sad to lose somebody that is close to you, but it's at the same time it underlies a really good feeling. A loss underlines the feeling that you have loved, and you still love even though the person is gone. We try to move within the space of realism in this film, and we are expressionistic in certain ways, but the general feeling that we're hoping the audience to get is a sense of realism. And yeah, it's realistic to laugh. It's realistic to, as well, for the father to be, he loves his daughter, but he's clumsy, he's trying his best. But in his clumsy way, he managed to actually to give her maybe what she was asking for. She was asking for comfort. He gave his arms, and yeah, he wasn't able to talk about emotions with her, but he was able to give her a smile on her face and a comfort and energy to continue back into this day and be there for other people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's actually another very devastating element in the fact that she cannot openly grieve with her friends due to the secret relationship she had. And although she's surrounded by her friends and family, she's in danger of dealing with grief on her own. Did you want to show the importance of going through hardship together with friends?
Yeah, that's one of the elements. Another element that I wanted to, there is, in a strange way, when we are broken like this, it's not uncommon that there's a hierarchy within the grief. Hierarchy of, I was losing more because I have this title towards this person. So some people feel more entitled and should get more. They have lost more. That's how they feel, and other people feel that they lost a lot, but they don't want to take their space because somebody else, according to laws of society or this unwritten, yeah, that's somebody that is when you maybe you lose a friend, and maybe you have lost a friend and a really dear friend, but that friends had parents, I guess, or a partner. And regardless of how many other people that are supposed to be closer than you still have the loss that you have. And if that person would have nobody and you would be the closest person, you still have your same feeling. But sometimes, yeah, we feel that we are not allowed to take the space, or we have to take a space, or yeah, there's a hierarchy within grief as well.
Absolutely. And even more than about grief, it feels like a film about friendship as well. And how did you let the actors create their chemistry on and offset?
Well, that starts in a way with the casting process. We started casting for the film 1 year prior to the shooting. We started on emphasizing on the two young women, and then we were building the group around them. I tend to take, in the manuscript, there's always some kind of description of look-wise and etc. But I always try to emphasize just on the best actors in most of my films. And then I start developing, I continue developing the characters after the cast is being found. These two young women, it's a small society, they knew of each other, but they were not friends. And strangely, Katla, that plays Clara, and all the young men, they all knew each other. They had been going through the same school, even though they are not exactly on the same age. Some of them are, Some of them are best friends. And Elín, that is Una in the film, the main character, she was a little bit of an outsider in that group just in the beginning, and that's just a fact. That was not what I was aiming for. They are just really talented and clever people, both intellectually and emotionally. I rehearse all the film, all the scenes with all the actors, first separately, and then we do it gradually throughout the film, and then we break down each and every scene. They are responsible for their dialogue. The dialogue that I'm writing is mainly a starting point, or it is something that comes natural for me to say is maybe not natural for you. If I step on a nail, I say maybe fuck. You step on a nail and you say hell, and then a third person steps on a nail and just grunts and just continues walking. But it's all the same reaction, which is a simple way of putting it. But yeah, they are responsible for finding their own language and develop their characters. And yeah, I'm not 22 anymore, so they were as well. They're in all the way responsible for the characters. I have great people around me, a great hair and makeup, great costume designer, and with the actors we were sculpting those characters.
Yeah, and I think they did great actually, because there's this dance scene in which Una is overcome by grief and collapses, and then the others come to hold her. It's incredibly moving, and you feel like you're with them in the room. How was it to shoot that particular scene?
Well, we were waiting for the exact light to do it, so we were doing it when the sun was quite low, and it doesn't stay low for a long time. So we had limited time, and that was what we wanted to do to get visually the texture, the light texture. This had been talked through endlessly, this scene. I was choosing the music with them. That would be because they are in different layers of society, these young people that are being portrayed in the film. Something that all of them could relate to, a song that all of them could relate through because of their age and the culture that we live in. Then we had a dance choreographer that was rehearsing with us. This was choreographed with camera, sound, and actors dancing up to a certain extent, but to have some fluidity in it, then they had to have a free space as well.
Yeah, because it feels very natural, actually.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to talk about one of your key collaborators, perhaps is cinematographer Sophia Olsen, who shot the film on 16mm, I think.
Yeah.
And there were some visually striking shots that resonated with me, like the tragic traveling shot of the flags going half-mast. There's that moment when Una mirrors herself with Clara inside the window glass. How do you go about creating the atmosphere together with Sophia Olsen?
Yeah, we started working together in film school. We both started in the National Film School of Denmark in 2005. And since then, we have been working together. Within film school, you have to work with everybody but each time that we could choose who we are working with, we were working with each other. So if we take the school aside, because our films there are not allowed to go out to the world, then yeah, we have done at least 4 feature films and 3 short films. Yeah, in film school, we started working that way, that do a lot of preparation. Try to build sets at the same time we are making a storyboard, if possible. Storyboarding, then I'm not meaning drawing up a floor plan and deciding beforehand, this is going to be a wide shot, and then we cut into this and cut into that and cut into the other thing. We go to the location, we act through the scenes, take photos, take videos, we put this together to try to get a visual overview of what we are doing, then we revisit that, and then yeah, a mirror can be put up, maybe a window can be moved, and we check out what the location is offering us. And if we find a main location, is there anything close by? If we have an extra time and there's no location that is 100%, but sometimes with the restraints that come with it, and if you give yourself time to be in the location, act it through, figure out solutions, then yeah, it's not the first ideas. The first ideas that come to your mind is always most of the time the bad ideas, or the ideas that the mundane ideas. That if everybody are put on the spot, most directors and DOPs in the world in a certain place, they come up with the same idea how to do it. Just but yeah, but then everything looks the same. Everything feels the same as well, and there is no fingerprint in it. And what we try generally to achieve with our filmmaking is to use these three narrative tools that the cinema has, and the most obvious one is text or story, and it's often highly relying on that in most films, and mainly using the visuals and the audio to registrate something that has been written and will be said. But there's a lot of things that can be said with the size of a frame, or when you break time, when you cut, and what to, and why not, and etc. And as well, the narrative tool that is so underrated is sound.
Absolutely. Because I wanted to ask you something about the audio, because there's a haunting melody in this film that, and then I found in the credits it's Odi et Amo by the late composer Johan Johansson, who wrote scores for films like Sicario and Arrival. And in Latin it means I hate and I love, what sounds like a perfect way to describe the conflicted feelings, I think. So what do you think about how did you arrive at the music? And I think it's very fitting actually in the film.
I normally work with my regular composer, Kjartan Sveinsson, which is good for the world. He rejoined Sigur Rós. He had stopped being in Sigur Rós, and then he was rejoining Sigur Rós, the Icelandic band. So he was quite busy because they were touring. They made a new album and were touring. When I start editing, and when I'm editing, I just have to have music. So the plan was always that he would compose, like always, for my films. And we have worked together in different ways. Sometimes he has already composed, he composes something beforehand, or I have accessibility of older recordings that he has. I have a big catalog of music that he has never released or half finished, and of course all the stuff that he has finished. So sometimes he's I always start to work with one, somehow his kind of music. But this time around, I didn't have anything new. So yeah, I grew up in the same street as Johan. There are 10 years between us. Iceland is small, but yeah, he grew up in, it's 10 houses away from me. So he was always when I started listening to some music when I was 12, 13, some Icelandic new wave and all kinds of stuff, then I found out that this guy that lived 10 houses away from me, he was in all this coolest of the bands. Later on, he started composing for theater and films, and then he became, after that, this world famous film composer. This piece, Odi et Amo, is from, I think, the first composition that he was doing for theater, and it was recorded, and it's from 2000. And when I heard it the first time, it was just, it's such a beautiful telling piece, and it has been haunting me ever since. So I put it on two of the passages, and it was just, and I didn't even change the sync of it. Just put it in, and I didn't move the image one frame left or right, or the music, because it was lying there and it was just perfect.
It haunts me as well, and just like I think Sparrows, which was your second feature film, it's a tale told from the perspective of a young adult. What to you is so interesting about that period of human life, and was it difficult for you to go back and find yourself as a young adult again?
No, because that's just a past of me that I'm aware of, and so I have something to go towards, and something that I needed to go towards as well. Those two films are different periods of people's life, so I doubt that I will ever do a film on those periods of people's life again, but who knows? Yeah, I write my films because I have an urge, not because I'm come up with something and I think I'm clever or smart or something. It's just I have an urge. I have an urge to deal with something. I think I have something figured out, but then again, not really. And so it's maybe art therapy or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no problem, because I want to talk about art in my final question, because Una is an art student and we see her engaging in art classes. There's this wonderful scene with the church or the cathedral, and I was wondering how you think art can help us in the act of grieving.
Well, art puts a different angle of everything in the world. Yeah, how simple and dull everything would be if we didn't have art. So, and art can be so many different things, but art, a good art can change people's perspective, or gives a new perspective on, or underlines a perspective, which gives another perspective all of a sudden again. It's I heard a definition the other day. Why, the older we get, why do we have the feeling of times moving faster? And I don't know if you heard this. The thing is that, yeah, the older we get, our life gets more and more routine, and therefore we are not experiencing new things. But if you go a week on a holiday, or you do something, go to a seminar or do something different for some days, a week, that week will always feel like a month, because we're experiencing something new. And if we are good in going to the cinema, going to museums, experiencing art that gives a new perspective, yeah, then we are prolonging our lives. Maybe we die, we have the same death date, we die 75 and 250 days old or something, but the time that we have from now until then is going to be longer, because we are experiencing new things regularly. So, yeah, so art is important.
Yeah, I think it is, and that was actually my final question. And thank you so much, Rúnar, for your time and your beautiful film. And I think good luck with your release and with festivals and everything. So thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, and yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you, audience, for coming.